Okay, students, today we will try learning elements of a sentence. If you remember in yesterday's class, we only discussed elements of sentence. And there are three is, subject, verb, and object. And now we will learn them in detail. We will learn what subject is, what verb is, and how can we recognize it, and what object is. Okay, what is subject? A person or thing which does something is called subject in language. Subject usually starts a sentence, which means we put the subject at the start of the sentence, at the beginning of the sentence. There are one or two important points about subject which you should keep in mind. Remember that is it says a person or thing. So it means subject is not necessarily a human being. It can be a situation, a thing. Let's say, if I give you a sentence, the bullet broke the window. The bullet broke the window. The bullet broke the windows. Our window. Okay. Now here our subject is bullet. Even though bullet is non-living thing, inanimate, but its acting is a subject in the sentence. So you should keep this in mind that subject is not always a person. It can be a thing, a situation, an idea. Whatever does something in a sentence is subject of that sentence. So subject is doer. Okay. Now we will read a few examples. I have highlighted the subject for you in red color. She wants to invest her saving. Now in this sentence, she is the subject of the sentence. They like cracking jokes. They is here subject. Why? Because they do something. And in the above example, she does something. Sadaf is doing engineering. So Sadaf is doing something. This is why Sadaf is our subject in that sentence. Okay. Now we will study verb. What is verb? Verb is the most important part of a sentence. Verb is basically action, a task which the subject does. Subject does something. So this something or this action is called verb in language. In general language, we call it verb, but in grammar, we call it verb. What do we call it? We call it verb. So verb is action, verb is task. Okay. And two or three important points about subject are that, verb. A verb alone can form a sentence, but without verb, we cannot have a sentence. So this is why verb is the most essential part of a sentence. Essential means important, necessary. Okay. Now I have written a few verb sentences for you in which I have highlighted verbs for you in red color. A verb usually follows subject. First we have sentence in the first we have subject in the sentence, then we have verb. Usually, not in all cases, but generally verb occupies the middle place in a sentence. I had met him before he shifted his home here. Now met is our verb. So met is action. They spoiled the game. Spoiled is the action. This is why we will call it verb. The girls cried at the top of their voice. So cried is a verb. Why? Because it's an action. Okay. Now we will study object. Object is the direct receiver of the subject's action. Object is not an essential part of a sentence. However, in case of transitive verb, an object becomes necessary. We are not going to study transitive verb, so you do not need to pay your attention to this term, transitive verb. Just forget it for a moment. But what is the important point? The important point is that object is not very important in a sentence. But in some cases, it is important. In some cases, it is important when we have a transitive verb in a sentence, then we must have an object. So the meaning of the sentence are complete. Now I've written a few verbs for object for sentences for you, and in which I've highlighted the objects for you in red color. The last point about object is that usually object finishes a sentence, or in simple words, object comes at the end of the sentence. As you can see, Sir has checked my homework. So homework is object here in this sentence. They will buy you a car. So car is object. She will edit you a letter. Letter is object. Why? Because it's something that receives the subject's action, and action is editing. Okay. We are watching a movie now. So movie is our object here. So subject is doer, verb is work, and object is the thing or place which receives subject's action, or in which we do something, in simple words. Let's say if I'm writing an application in my laptop, so my laptop is my object. If you are throwing the ball, then the ball is your object. So object is the direct receiver of subject's action. Do you understand it now?
Yes.